Hey folks, welcome to Chiropractically Speaking, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Pratap, or Dr. Pratt for short. And today we're going to be diving into some uncharted waters, the murky realm of unqualified chiropractic care. We call unqualified chiropractors quackopractors. We just coined that today. So if I use that term today, you know who I'm talking about. It relates to people who are not qualified or not certified, not accredited, have not gone to real chiropractic colleges. They have taken spurious training elsewhere or just watched YouTube videos and believe they could do it themselves. So watch out for these people because they are dangerous. The issue is that they lure people in with this idea of a quick fix. And they tell people, you're in good hands and you can trust me. But how can you really? And I'm going to help you delve into those ideas today through the rest of this episode. So definitely keep listening for more. We have a lot of details and data for you to go through. In this fast-paced world, we crave instant solutions. If you're hungry, there's an app for that. Got a problem? There's an app for that. Want to paint your house? You can sit on your butt and get it done in an hour. Back pain? Well, here comes your latest quackopractor promising you the moon in a very short time. I'm seeing people on Instagram, on YouTube all the time promising ridiculous results in one session. Okay. So it's something like cervical spondylosis, which takes years and years and years to develop. They're claiming to treat it and fix it in one session. Now, that's not likely. And this is a hallmark of quackopractors. They are very, very keen to share their gifts with the world. But again, very, very far-fetched and very, very ludicrous kind of goals for their patients. A lot of empty promises and a lot of risk for patients. So I want to share with you guys some real scenarios that happened to me in my practice so far that relate to this, and it kind of gives you an idea of why I'm so pissed off about this. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about any names. I won't tell you where or which location they happen in. Just know that this is happening all over the place. It's happening in places that I'm at. It's happening in places where I'm not at, because we get that information from patients all the time. I'm going to reiterate this information a couple of times, but there is a way for you guys to know who is a real chiropractor and who is not, and that is with the Indian Association of Chiropractic Doctors website. We'll share all of the details below. Make sure you're checking that and you understand who is and who isn't. Everybody who is an accredited, licensed, approved of chiropractor will be on that site, listed. Their map is going to be there. All of their credentials have been reviewed and vetted. So if a person is on that website, they are a real chiropractor. If they're not on the website and they're claiming to be a chiropractor, it might be a sign that they're either not a chiropractor or they haven't come to us yet to register. We always recommend anybody who's in doubt, register with us. And if their qualifications are dubious or they're not the proper qualifications, we'll let them know and we'll identify them as such. If people refuse to do this, it just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And I'm rambling, so I'm going to cut that part out. So today we're going to be talking about a few cases on where quackopractors kind of come in and the reason I'm so pissed off about them being here in the first place. In my practice, we see this all the time. People come in and tell us about this person did this and that person did that. And it could be happening in any of our locations and it could be happening outside of our locations. We get a lot of questions from various parts of the country that said, hey, I went to this chiropractor. Is this normal? I'm feeling this way. This person hurt me, etc. And we take every single one of those comments and emails seriously. So if you have some questions about that, definitely do that and reach out to us. The Indian Association of Chiropractic Doctors is here for those particular things. We are here to establish the basics of chiropractic care in the country, as well as all regulations. So if there are questions about who is and who is not a chiropractor, just go to the page that has all of the listed chiropractors on there, and you'll know who's who. If your chiropractor, the chiropractor you're going to, is not listed on our page, there's a high chance that that person is not a real chiropractor. So make sure you check that page out if you're seeing a chiropractor in India. Guys, I'm going to have to issue a trigger warning here because some of the discussion I'm going to have is going to conjure up some unpleasant images and some discussion of things like assault. So if this is not your bag, definitely tune out, fast forward through this part. But it is a really important segment. So if you can kind of gut through it, I would recommend you do that. So the first example was from a young lady in one of our centers, and she had come in and she seemed a little skittish, squeamish about getting adjusted in the first place. So after asking a little bit about her history and, delving through the issues that she was coming in with, we noticed that there were some issues in her middle spine, etc. And she asked a really strange question. She looked really uncomfortable, but she asked, "Are you going to be doing a breast adjustment today?" And I looked at her and I said, "Breast adjustment? What are you talking about?" And she said, "My last chiropractor did a breast adjustment, and I felt really uncomfortable with it. So I was really hoping that you didn't have to do that today." That sucks. That's not something that chiropractors do. There's no such thing as a breast adjustment. In fact, when we looked into it, this Quackopractor was a physiotherapist, and he had a history of doing this with women. Not only was he performing an egregious assault on a member of the public, he was also managing to smear a chiropractic profession. If you go to YouTube right now and type in Indian chiropractor, you're going to see images of a person performing adjustments to women in really compromising positions. I'm not going to share who that is, but I'm sure if you do this particular practice, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Chiropractors don't do things like that, and we don't advertise it. The thumbnail that you see is kind of sexualized, and it makes us look bad on the whole. This person in example that we're referring to is not a chiropractor, doesn't hold a chiropractic degree, yet purports a huge following and has a ton of people who are regularly in the comments, subscribe, and follow all of his content. So in this case, we definitely reached out to the person involved, and an FIR was actually served up on this person's behalf. That's the nature of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a respectable profession which has morals and ethics. And a lot of quackopractors seem to not have these morals and ethics. Morals and ethics is taught to us in our chiropractic programs. This is something that we uphold every single day we're in practice. So when you experience something like that and you see something like that happening on YouTube, it's very clear and obvious who is a professional and who is not. Now, my second example is actually kind of sad too. It's less egregious in the sense that no assault ever took place, but an older person had presented to my clinic, and in his case, he was petrified of having his neck adjusted. Reason? The previous quackopractor that he went to had cracked his neck so abrasively that he had vertigo from that day, dizziness, headaches that never really went away. Now, we did some checks to make sure that there was no structural damage and all of that. He was okay. He had a really bad case of cervical spondylosis, some real bad degeneration. And we fixed as much as we could with soft tissue work and exercises, but he still needed to be adjusted. There was a lot of restriction in his cervical spine that needed to be corrected, but he just would not allow me to do it. So not only did this person end up having a lifelong or an issue that was not resolvable, he didn't have it before he visited the quackopractor. So this to me is a really avoidable instance and really sad instance of why you should really watch out who's doing what for your neck. The last example I have is actually a very recent one where a patient had come in with pretty normal issues, tailbone pain and some upper back discomfort. Person had poor posture, and it seemed like a really slam dunk chiropractic case. The thing is, he told me that chiropractic didn't work for him and that he wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to help him. So again, upon questioning, he understood that the person he was seeing was not a real chiropractor, and the adjustments that he was receiving were actually just, forcible manipulations that were done randomly, not really towards a specific cause. And the funny thing is that this was done by a popular physiotherapy clinic in the vicinity. So there's really no answers to this, because that was a professional. I had that particular clinic in high esteem, and here we are getting the opposite results. So anyway, we continued to get course corrected, and a long issue that was not resolved by the physio team at that place was corrected over a couple of weeks with me. This person was able to go on vacation and reported a huge reduction in his pain after just a few sessions. Fast forward a little bit, and he had, gone on vacation, come back, and he actually visited his physio team again, and they manipulated him again, and he came back with pain again. So all the issues that he had resolved with me went back to the old guys, did a manipulation, came back with the same problem. What does this mean? Unspecific, untrained care. It's not about seeing the crack and watching a video on YouTube and saying, hey, they did it that way, do it this way, because that person had what I had. It's about specificity and understanding the patient. It's about the training that we go through and the ability to discern this from that. So anyway, those are the three examples that I had for you. And they're a really, really clear case of buyer beware. So have you guys ever experienced chiropractic care that seemed a little bit weird? Or do you have questions about the person who is performing them? Leave the comments below about your experiences and we can get into them. Okay, so I touched a little bit about qualifications earlier, and I've touched on qualifications in other podcasts as well about what chiropractors do and what chiropractors don't do. So let me just kind of, circle the bases one more time on that. And that is, when it comes to qualifications of a chiropractor, chiropractic is an internationally recognized designation. We are doctors of chiropractic, and in some cases, masters of chiropractic. And there are a certain number of schools, colleges, programs that are accredited by various accrediting bodies. Now, let's step back a bit. The World Health Organization is largely known to be the watchdog for regulations for health professions all over the world. Now, the World Health Organization gives rise to the World Federation of Chiropractic. In other words, the World Federation of Chiropractic is recognized by the World Health Organization. The World Federation of Chiropractic is the source for all regulatory commissions for chiropractors. Anything that resembles rules to follow, standards, best practices, guidelines, they're all presented by the World Federation of Chiropractic. They also have listed all of the accredited institutions that provide legit chiropractic programs. Now, there are a bunch of programs that are still on the bubble, but none of them are from India. India still has yet to have a legitimate chiropractic program. So if somebody from India represents as a chiropractor, they are likely not a chiropractor unless they've studied abroad. Now, even if they've studied abroad, there's a lot of spurious programs out there that are actually no good. If you have a certificate or some sort of certification from XYZ practitioner college or institute, it's likely not going to hold up anywhere else in the world. Just having some information on a subject doesn't make you an accredited chiropractor. So chiropractors very rarely hold dual designations. Chiropractors are generally not physiotherapists, and physiotherapists are generally not chiropractors. There are going to be a handful of people who have done both degrees, but I'm not talking about those people. It's going to be a very rare few, and none of them are from India. Now, on top of this, osteopaths, naturopaths, homeopaths, and other practitioners who exist in the non-allopathic space, they generally do want to have, these professions definitely want to have some elements of chiropractic in their practice. They may be taught some elements of chiropractic in their practice, but they're not chiropractors. Now, chiropractic in general does not have a monopoly on spinal manipulation, okay? There are lots and lots and lots of professions and ancient professions, bone setters, for example, who've had this particular practice as part of their day-to-day work from day one. Chiropractic is a very specific subset of practitioners who have codified the meaning of the spine and the spinal manipulation, what the spinal manipulation does in terms of neurological consequences, and have a huge body of research that governs what chiropractic can and cannot do. So I want you to be very knowledgeable about who a chiropractor is, what type of training we need to go through in order to become a chiropractor. Most chiropractic programs around the world are anywhere between 3 and 5 years long. So if somebody comes to me and says, oh yeah, I went to a chiropractor, he went to this program and it took them 6 months to do, I'm going to very, very clearly know that that's not a real chiropractor. Now, there are bridging programs that exist around the world, but these are very, very early stage programs and none of them are accredited yet. So I do want you to understand that a chiropractor will have a doctorate of chiropractic or a master's of chiropractic. There's one particular certification that keeps popping up in India, and I want everybody to know this is the one time I'm going to be dropping a name. If you have studied under this person named Ackerman, or you're from the Ackerman Institute, or whatever it's called, it's not a legitimate program. Let me say this again. If you have received a degree, a master's in chiropractic from Ackerman Institute, it does not uphold the credentials of the International Chiropractic Circuit. You are not a real chiropractor. Don't call yourself a chiropractor. And I'm sorry you spent money on that course, but you were deceived. So that was really heavy. Nothing to say about that other than choosing a chiropractor shouldn't be a roll of the dice. Do your diligence. Your health is your responsibility. If you were going to go to a medical doctor for a cough, cold, flu, you probably wouldn't just go to the nearest person. You would go to somebody who's, well recognized in the community. Maybe your friends and family have gotten some great results with him or her. So you'd want to do the same thing for your chiropractor. The only thing is that with chiropractic, we're talking about your spine. We're talking about a very unique set of bones that do a lot of work for you, which we're going to talk about in our next episode. But this is something that you should not take any chances with. Now, how do you know our chiropractor is real? I'm going to go through a real simple checklist with you. Okay. Number one, you should be able to ask your chiropractor where they studied, what college they went to, etc. If an Indian person is claiming to be a chiropractor and they went to school or they earned a certificate or they earned their training in India, they're likely not a real chiropractor because there are no accredited institutions in India. The second question you should ask is, are they registered with the Indian Association of Chiropractic Doctors? If they're not, high chance that they're not a real chiropractor. Other things that you want to look for are quick fix guarantees, scammy sounding treatment plans or discounts or things like that. We are not a profession that's on sale. We take pride in what we do. We're serious about results. We care about our patients. And this is not a sidey massage parlor, okay? This is a chiropractic clinic. And we're serious about healthcare. We've taken an oath to take great care of our patient. Another thing is chiropractors are always willing to share or be referring to other medical practitioners. We are not going to hold you. If we think you need to get some sort of medical advice or you need some medical imaging, something of that nature, we'll go ahead and make the recommendation. Most quackopractors do not do this. They're very much like, I'll fix you because I've studied at quackopractorcollege.com, so it's not one of those things that chiropractors actually like. We are not going to hold you tight and say, no, you're for us. We'll definitely make the recommendation where needed. And finally, your back is the pillar of your body. It requires the attention and care and TLC that your most prized possession should get. I always use the analogy of the Ferrari. You're going to take way better care of the Ferrari because it costs a lot of money than you are going to take care of your own spine. And I feel like that's just such a wacky thing in priorities. We just need to get ourselves in order that way. Take care of your spine. The rest is history. As we close today's episode, let's reflect. The path to wellness is as much about the journey as it is about the destination. In this world of quick fixes and instant gratification, understand that healing takes time. And chiropractic care is very much about the process. True healing takes time, takes patience, and takes expertise. Chiropractic care is going to be here to speed up that process and guide you there safely. Whether it's chiropractic or any other form of healthcare, remember that what you put in today is going to benefit you tomorrow. Just remember, your health is an investment, not an expense. If you invest in the right practitioners with the right expertise, the right mindset, and the right qualifications, the chances of your investment hitting a large return for your health is immense. Don't shortchange yourself and look for the win now. Look for the win later and fix yourself permanently. So, as you navigate your health journey, just know that the power is in your hands. The power to choose, the power to research, the power to investigate, and the power to say no. If something feels wrong, you're allowed to say no. Ultimately, check the IACD website. I can't stop saying that enough. Remember to choose practitioners not just for their commitment to your health and integrity, but also their patience and their qualifications. Chiropractors are here to help you. They're your allies, they're your friends, they're your teachers, they're your cheerleaders, but most importantly, they're here to help you not just feel better, but also to heal better. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. It was a little heavy at parts, but we did describe a lot on the fringes of chiropractic care, from dubiously trained quackopractors and all of their exploits. If this episode resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe. Share the love and spread the word. This has been Chiropractically Speaking. I'm your host, Dr. Pratt, and we'll catch you on the next episode.